Are at risk of being irrelevant in the upcoming March primary election here in California. And now the Independent Voter Project, author of California's nonpartisan statewide primary system, is suing the California Secretary of State. They claim that the state is violating 6 state and federal laws by failing to conduct an open primary for presidential elections. So here with me now to discuss more on the lawsuit is legal counsel for the Independent Voter Project, Chad Peace. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me.
I think your name is perfect given your profession, so this is wonderful. First of all, give me an overview. What is the Independent Voter Project?
Well, the Independent Voter Project was started a little over 10 years ago now. Most well known for authoring California's nonpartisan statewide primary system here in San Diego. We might be known as the authors of Measure K. In each case, we were opposed by different sides of the political establishment. And most simply, what we fight for is elections that serve every voter regardless of party affiliation. So we have a special emphasis on no party preference voters because, you know, they're often treated the worst when you talk about voting rights. But really, we're for an equal playing field, and that includes all voters of any party affiliation or non-affiliation.
And you brought this issue forward about the independent voters, which
Right.
How many of them do we have here in California?
We almost have 6 million now.
6 million independent voters.
Right.
Your group brought this forward in 2015. What did you see at that point?
Well, in 2015, you know, we have a semi-closed primary. That's what we actually conduct, and the rules are very confusing. If you're a no-party preference voter, then you can request a crossover ballot for the Democratic Party presidential primary. If you're a registered AIP, American Independent, which studies show 80% of them are mistakenly AIP voters, well, then you can't vote at all because you're actually registered with a third party. So you can only vote in their primary, where you probably don't know any of the candidates. So we knew there would be massive voter confusion. When you add on top of that, more and more voters are getting their ballots absentee. They're showing up, getting ready to vote, and then going, where are the candidates on my ballot? I don't have any presidential candidates. So we saw that coming, contacted the Secretary of State, began a dialogue, and nothing happened. We ended up submitting a resolution, had bipartisan co-authors, but the resolution didn't get out of committee. Brought it back this year with plenty of time for them to deal with the problem, and you know, the legislature still hasn't fixed it.
Why didn't it get out of committee? Who derailed this?
Well, I think the powers that be may have looked at, you know, solving this problem may not be in their interest. And so, you know, I don't think this is to personalize the issue on anybody in particular. It just has to go to the core of the systemic problem. You think about all the way down to the way campaigns are run. The people that run campaigns and participate in politics daily like to divide the electorate, know who they're communicating with, and then know who's going to come out and vote. When you have a bunch of no-party preference voters, almost 6 million, and you don't know that they're going to vote for our candidate or they agree with every issue that we believe in, you know, it's almost better if they stay home.
So that's basically saying the independent voters don't have a right to decide.
Well, and that's the point we're making in the lawsuit, is saying, you know, especially in California, where the state constitution not only calls for an open presidential primary, but we have very specific voter right protections, is how do we have a taxpayer-funded, a taxpayer-administered system, the most important political dialogue we have with the voters of this state, and we tell a class of voters, because you've exercised your First Amendment right not to join a private organization that you don't believe in, that you somehow have a less right to participate in that taxpayer-funded primary.
Really quickly, what's the timeline on this? Do we think we're going to get any resolution before the next election?
Well, I sure hope so. I think we filed it plenty of time in advance. That when we actually offered an easy resolution to it, we will make our case to expedite it.
All right.
And that's the goal.
Keep us posted then, Chad. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.